questions now for you to jot down, and then we'll launch into this subject. This will lay the foundation. I've got a few other subjects I want to share with you before the day is finished, but this one will get us started. Jot these questions down. Question number 1, what makes life valuable? Interesting philosophical question. What makes life valuable, human life? Now that we find ourselves on this spinning planet, a chance to live a human life, what would make it valuable? Second question, what makes life worthwhile? Third question, what makes life work well? Good practical question. Now, under work well, we could put, spiritually, socially, personally, economically, physically. There's a lot of different aspects to making life work well. But that'll suffice, because those questions, I think, are very vitally important. What makes life worthwhile? What makes it valuable? What makes it work well? And all the aspects. If your life doesn't work well in some aspects, what would you fix? And I've got some good answers on that. There's usually about a half a dozen things that makes 80% of the difference. That's the formula. There's usually about a half a dozen things that makes 80% of the difference. Now, what's interesting about this formula is it's not exactly half dozen, and it's not exactly 80%. This is just sort of a unique way to say it. Here's another way we might say it. Keep looking, whatever the project is. Keep looking for the few things that makes the most difference. Boil it down to the most important components that'll take care of most of it. And I think if you look through a lot of major subjects, you'll come to this same conclusion. To be good in sales, there's about a half a dozen major things to practice that'll give you an 80% chance of really being good in sales. For a management career, there's about a half a dozen things. For a good marriage, there's about a half a dozen things. For good health, there's not 1,000 things you have to work on. There's not 500 things you have to do every day. About a half a dozen will take care of most of it. Now, what was exciting about this formula when Mr. Shaw first shared it with me was, if there's only a half a dozen things, I could learn it. I mean, if there's 500 things, probably left me out. I only went to 1 year of college, halfway through my second year. So if it's going to take a lot of education, it's probably going to leave me out. But when he said, no, there's about a half a dozen things that'll take care of most of it, whatever the project is, I said, then if it's a half a dozen, I can learn it. So here's what I found out. Life change really is very simple. It's really very easy. For financial independence, there's about half a dozen things. No one, especially in this country, needs to go without financial independence, because it's not that difficult to master. There's not 1,000 things to learn. You don't have to go through all of the technology over a lifetime. Just a few things, major things, that'll take care of most of it, and you've got it made. When I have a chance to share with my teenage friends, by the way, I've got a new book coming out, hopefully this year, if we can get it done this year, for my teenage friends, and I think the title is going to be, Of Course Kids Should Pay Taxes. It's gonna be a good book. You'll enjoy it. And in boiling things down for my teenage friends, that's what they're interested in knowing. Can I do it? Can someone like me master it? And the answer is always yes. I tell them I got rich by the time I was 31. I was a millionaire by the time I was 31. My teacher taught me well that 6 years, from being broke at age 25 to being rich at age 31. And kids say, wow, how did you do that? Here's the best news I give them. It was easy. Best news they've heard for a long time. Here's somebody talking to you that got rich by age 31, and he says it was easy. 3 major reasons why I got rich by the time I was 31. Let me give you those. Number 1, I lived in America. I mean, that takes care of most of it. A democracy, a place of freedom. Everybody wants to come to America because it's easy here. People haven't plotted and schemed for 40 years saying if I could just get to Poland, everything would be okay. No, everybody wants to come here. Neil Diamond sings, looks like everybody's coming to America. Right? They're not building rafts to get to Cuba. Everybody's trying to get to America. They're not squeezing through the fence to get into Mexico, right? Everybody wants to come to America. I mean, because this is it, right? It's easy here. Live in a country of freedom, a country where you can read every book you want to read, attend every class you want to attend, try everything you want to try. This is it. America. America's easy. For some teenagers that haven't heard that story before, take it to them. America is easy. Bangladesh would be hard. The average yearly income in Bangladesh is $100. That's hard. America, easy. You got it. Cambodia would be hard. The Khmer Rouge killed 2 million Cambodians so that the 5 million that were left would do the deal. That's hard. America, easy. You got it already. In about 90 days, you can have that memorized. No problems here. I got rich by the time I was 31. Number one, I lived in America. Here's number two. I found opportunity. And that's what you're all about, opportunity. Starting opportunity, preaching opportunity, living opportunity, practicing opportunity, and offering opportunity. How much opportunity is there in America? It's unprecedented. Opportunity beyond the wildest imagination of most people who live everywhere else in the world. I found opportunity. Now here's number three. I found a teacher willing to teach me. Somebody who took the time to translate ideas that I could understand, foreign boy from Idaho. And that's how I did it. Those three basic reasons. Lived in a democracy of freedom, found opportunity, found a teacher willing to teach me. And I was rich by 31. Now someone says, well, Mr. Rohn, if it was so easy to get rich by age 31, how come everybody else around you during that same period of time, how come they didn't get rich? Here's why. It's easy not to. That's the best advice I can give you. In case you have to leave early, that's the heartbeat of my whole seminar. What's easy for one should be easy for all. Someone says, no, Mr. Rohn, for all the rest of the people around you during that time, for them it was hard, and for you it was easy. That's not true. You couldn't debate me on that point in front of this intelligent audience. What's easy for one is easy for everyone. However, let me put it now in a philosophical phrase, since I tend to be a bit philosophical. Here it is. What's easy to do is also easy not to do. That's the difference between success and failure. That's the difference between pennies and fortune. That's the difference in flourishing and not having much. That's the difference between trinkets and treasures. What's easy to do is also easy not to do. I can give you in one sentence how I got rich by 31. Here it is. If you're ready, say I'm ready. Ready. Here it is. I did not neglect. Now you've got to underline that. I did not neglect to do the easy things that I could do every day for 6 years. Now once you've got that, you've got the heartbeat for life change. Underline, did not neglect. Major reason why people don't have it all. Neglect. How else would you describe it? Especially living in a country like this. And here's the problem with neglect for your notes. It starts as an infection. And if you don't take care of it, it becomes a disease. Indulge in neglect long enough and it'll have you by the throat. Shutting off air supply, shutting off opportunity. Neglect is a disaster. Now here's the further compounding of the disaster. One neglect usually leads to another. Neglect to do wise things with your money, then you'll neglect probably to do wise things with your health. Neglect to do wise things with your health, you'll probably neglect to do wise things with your friendships. Neglect to do wise things with your time. Neglect to do wise things with opportunity. I'm telling you, it starts to compound. Once the house starts coming down, it starts coming down. And it finally falls in disrepair. So, the whole clue to life change, number one, is to clean up all neglect. Because the rest of it is basic and simple. I mean, how difficult is it? My mama taught good health. My mama extended her life, the doctor said, at least 10, 15, maybe 20 years by the study of good nutrition. And she passed it on to me, passed it on to my father. My father's 92, healthy as can be. I passed the big 5-0 a lot of years ago, healthy as I can be. I got 2 daughters, 34 and 35, completely healthy, all their lives. I got 2 grandkids, healthy as can be. Mama taught us. About how many things? About a half a dozen things, I'm telling you. So the key is to not learn another 100 things. People aren't healthy because they know 1,000 things. No. People are healthy because, number one, they find out the half dozen things. That's number one, find out. And number two, do not neglect to practice. That's the whole key. I can't give it to you in any simpler form. Find out the half dozen things. Now, sometimes it takes a while to find those major things. We pick up one or two and then we let it go. Finally, we master it. But the rest of it is simply do not neglect. If you'll just start cleaning up neglect. Mama taught an apple a day. Does what? I got a good question for this intelligent audience. What if that's true? You say, well, if that's true, Mr. Rohn, that would certainly be easy to do. Then what is the problem? It's easy not to do. That's the problem. The problem is not lack of information. The problem is simply we don't do the information that's been handed to us. Simple stuff. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. Anybody can do it. But what's easy to do is easy not to do. Or the guy messed up the saying. The guy says a Hershey bar a day. You say, no, you've been watching too much television. It's not Hershey bar, it's what? Apple. And if you lack the refined intelligence and you go for the Hershey bar instead of the apple, then you've got to put up with your own poor health. It's nobody's fault but your own. A few basics you won't practice, a few ideals you won't let them serve you, then you got to put up with your own empty bank account, empty heart, empty soul, not enough vitality, not enough health. I'm telling you, anybody that wants to can rearrange all of that. And here's where life change starts. For your notes, I can't give it to you in any simple form. Here it is. It starts with an apple. Where else would you start if you wanted to improve your life? You don't need the exotic stuff, I'm telling you. You know, California's part weird where I'm from. Right? They're teaching crystals, rub crystals. That'll do it. But they're teaching sleep under pyramids. That'll do it. California's part weird. California teaches, some of them are moving to Sedona, Arizona. I'm telling you, where the force fields come together. And if you can live where the force fields come together and rub a crystal and sleep under a pyramid, then you'll really be successful. But I'm telling you, you don't need that. Basic 1, 2, 3 stuff is what did it for me.